Fareed, is this just rhetoric?
Oh, it's pure political pandering. Look, the world consumes about 80 million barrels of oil a day. The total U.S. increase in production, if you were to do everything that Newt Gingrich fantasizes about, would be less than, 0.5% of that. So the chance that it would have any impact on the price of oil, particularly in the short run, is pure fantasy. It's not just fantasy, but Newt surely knows better. The truth of the matter is we are in the middle of a great boom in domestic oil production. We are at the highest levels in 30 years. The United States, for the first time, is actually exporting oil rather than importing oil, and it has made no difference to oil prices. In fact, as we can see, oil prices have gone up. Why? Because A, China is growing, India is growing, all growth that we know about is taking place. And secondly, people are worried about a possible war with Iran, geopolitical concerns. So these are not things that you can easily fix. You're not going to get China to slow down. You're not going to change the fact that there are genuine concerns. And increasing American domestic production is such a marginal issue at this point that it's really totally irresponsible for Newt Gingrich to be saying this.
Stephen, you disagree?
Well, look, I agree in the very short term. Fareed is right that there's not much that Barack Obama can do over the next month or something to reduce the high price of gasoline. And Fareed is also right that the major reason we're seeing the spike right now is because of what's happening in the Middle East. I agree with those two things. But it's also true, Fareed, as you know, that this president has been completely hostile to domestic production of oil and gas. It is true we have a big increase, but that's not because of Barack Obama. He's opposed the drilling, the permitting that we could do. You're right, we've seen a big increase, but I just got back from North Dakota. I mean, what's going on there is a miracle. I mean, we have more oil right now in states like North Dakota, Oklahoma, Colorado, California than Saudi Arabia has oil. And I think the reason this is a political problem for the president is Americans are connecting the dots. They're seeing the fact that when we're not doing things that make so much common sense, like building the Keystone Pipeline, that we're not doing the drilling and we're not doing the permitting to exploit our own natural resources, I think Americans understand, wait a minute, that hits me in the pump.
But as Stephen is pointing out, all this oil is being drilled. In point of fact, whether or not the president is enthusiastic about or merely it's happening over his grudging objections, the truth of the matter is we are in the midst of a huge oil boom and prices are rising. So, and Keystone is a total red herring because, of course, the Keystone oil is going to be excavated, it is going to be produced, it is going to be used. It's going to be used by China or us. It makes not a jot of a difference to the price of oil because that oil will reach the world market. And so when we talk about this, yeah, maybe hypothetically, if there were a president who would greenlight every single project that Stephen would like, maybe as I said, you'd increase production marginally. We have actually increased production substantially, and it's not led to any reduction in price because there is a huge increase in demand, and there are geopolitical fears.
Stephen, do you believe that Newt Gingrich can bring it to $2.50 a gallon?
Yeah, I do. Look, I've seen presidents do this. One of the reasons this is such a hot-button issue, Anderson, is because of the fact that one of the reasons that Jimmy Carter lost the election in 1980 was because of very high gasoline prices as a result of very high inflation.
Stephen,
Reagan
can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question?
Wait, let me just finish my point.
Yep.
The Reagan brought the inflation rate down with Paul Volcker, and by the end of Reagan's first term in office, the price of gasoline fell in half. So yes, I've seen it happen.
Because the economy went into a recession. Because the economy went into a recession. Oil prices also collapsed when we had the global financial crisis. But Stephen, let me ask you this.
But by 1984, the economy was booming. We had oil prices half of what they were. Look, I'm not disagreeing with you in the short term. What I'm saying is, for example, I've been in Washington for 20 years, Fareed. We've been debating whether we should drill in Alaska for 20 years. If we'd done that 20 years ago, we'd have that oil right now, and I do believe that would affect the world oil price.
But Stephen, the quantity of oil we're talking about is not going to make a difference.